What's going on, people? We're starting a new series, AM Hustle, PM Hustle. And what we're going to do today is talk about accepting responsibility. This is something that a lot of people don't want to do. Accept responsibility. A lot of people do not want to be accountable. Like the other day during a live stream, someone asked me, can you guarantee me if I do the work, will I be responsible? Will I be successful? And people are looking away at looking for scapegoats to not be accountable. They don't want to be in the pressure situation. They don't want to be responsible. In my situation with my ex-girlfriend, whenever she was faced with a position where she had to be financially responsible, she freaked out. And also, even go deeper with family. When my mother was sick for the second time, let me go ahead and tell you the story. The first time, I was Johnny on the spot. I was in the military. I sent money home. I signed my mother up for BAQ. She was getting a check, a good check in the 80s. Now, to keep getting this check, all she had to do was fill out the paperwork. And I asked her, I said, why didn't you fill out the paperwork? She said, it came, I saw it. I just didn't fill it out and send it back in. This is what this grown woman told me. She's like, I didn't know that it was going to impact you. I was like, they sent you the paperwork for a reason. And then when you get people who or get called upon not dealing with responsibility, you get people who run into a problem because they don't want to be accountable. They get all types of pissed off. How dare you bring that up? How dare you mention that? You're supposed to deal with my malfeasance, my lack of accountability, my lack of personal responsibility, and be quiet about it. This is how people look at you. This is how people treat you. This is how people behave when it's time to be accountable. And the lesson here tonight that I want to talk about with being accountable is understanding that being accountable is for you. Hold on a second. Being accountable benefits you. Being accountable creates a framework of personal responsibility that gives you power to change your circumstances. Being responsible is for you. Like, I'm going to give you some framework on that. When I used to work these suck jobs, I would do the best job of my ability. And I had people like, why are you working so hard? I'm working hard for me. They would ask me, why are you working so hard? Why are you doing all that? Why are you doing extra? Because I had the good sense to know that when you do these things and you're not accountable, you develop bad habits. You develop very bad habits. And this is what happens, because as with the conversation this morning, the lower economic class, no one wants to take, anytime you mention something like having babies that you're not prepared for, having children out of wedlock before you're in the position, it's like, that's being mean. That's, we shouldn't talk about that. We shouldn't even bring that up, even though it is the truth. It's the truth. And you got people who don't want to talk about this because with the lower economic numbers, you've got people who are not being accountable. Before this live stream, I was watching this special, and it was about these basketball players in Brazil. And these grown men were still chasing that dream. They were still chasing that possibility of being a professional basketball player. These dudes were, one dude was 37 years old. And they were in Mexico. And they were doing this, and I was just blown away at the lack, because once again, if you are a guy and you want to be a professional basketball player and you have no children, because this is the thing, the majority of them had kids. The majority of them were in a situation where they had children. So that created like a different thing with me. So one of the things that you have got to do, and I'm going to give you the framework. When I was homeless, when I was going through all of that stuff, I was just like, what happened? I was like, what went wrong? How did I end up here? How did this happen? Because I didn't understand my role in my demise. And I've talked about it before, but I'll go a little deeper. When I was working my full-time job, I was working my part-time job, and I was working a job that I can call them and they can call me, and I can get work, which is called PRN at the time. I don't know what they call it today. I did not save any money. I did not put any money away for a rainy day. That was on me. That was a choice that I made not to save money, because I had a situation where I had a bad partner that would create economic havoc every time you turn around. I remember one day I was sitting home and she came home early and she's like, I'm like, why are you here? And she's like, I quit my job. Daryl doesn't like me. And I'm like I'm sitting there looking at you, blinking my eyes like, you quit your job because Daryl doesn't like you? Did they fire you? No. Did they talk disrespectfully? No. I can just feel it. So what she did, now let me go ahead and give you the full backstory of that. I had set it up where, depending upon her income, where I could go to school and work weekends. So all that went out the window, and she knew my plan because I was enrolled in like the Verizon. I was going to get an IT certificate and certifications to make more money. She knew what the plan was. She did not want to be accountable. She did not want to be an equitable and invested partner. Many of you are dealing with that right now. Let's see. What's up, Trav, Andre, penny stock investor? I get the same heat at work. Then there was people like, you trying to show us up? You think you're better than us? Born to reign. It's always effort over talent in anything, because how a person does anything is how they do everything. This is the gospel. And this is why I did a good job in those crappy jobs, because I knew that one day having a good and steady work ethic was going to serve me very well. Eric Williams, they don't have a second dream for their life, so they keep chasing the first one. This is one of the things when my mother, because I will go back to that situation when my mother got sick, and with the BAQ and all this other stuff, I had a dream. My goal was to do 3 years in the military and try to walk on to the University of Alabama football team. When she became sick, I re-enlisted. And then this is where I had to dream a new dream, because that window was very narrow. That window closed very quickly. And I don't, I didn't even tell my family what me re-enlisting to help them out. Let me be clear. My brother and my sister were in high school when this was going on. And I was the sole source of income for the family. Going back to what I was saying about the lower economics, like if there's a talented person, a talented kid, the family will leech off of that kid and everybody be like, you taking care of your family. You're doing the good thing. Even though it is not that child's responsibility to be taking care of the family. And this is how a lot of kids get trapped. Anton Allen, I know what that shit's like. So I got caught. And then once again, people get pissed off when they have to be accountable because I sacrificed my dream because I'm crazy about the University of Alabama football team. I would have loved the privilege to at least try. I didn't get that. And it was a decision that I made, and it was a decision that I made willingly, and I dreamed new dreams because I could not go back and do that again. As Erica's reference, they don't have a second dream for their life, so they keep chasing the first one. I had to dream new dreams. And in the midst of dreaming this new dream, I was working on my first book when my mother became ill again. And they were looking at me to do what I did the first time, because the first time I took the hit. I took all the heat. I took it. I dealt with it. I performed. Family's good when someone's sending you a check. And then I remember my brother called me. It's like, what you gonna do? What you're going to do? And I was like, bruh, I already been through this. What you gonna do? What are you and the other one gonna do? Y'all both are adults with jobs. So we don't have a relationship anymore because I was selfish. Because I did not do what I did the first time. And I held him accountable. It's like, look, y'all gonna have to work that out. Y'all gonna have to leave me out of it. And as we went forward with this fractured the relationship because I wanted to be in control because I knew, and this, once again, this is very critical. I held myself responsible for my dreams. And I had my second dream was to be a published author, which I accomplished. And I was working on the book when my mother got sick for the second time. And I knew what was going to happen. If I did what they wanted me to do, that window was going to close. I was in the position, I didn't have any debt. I didn't owe anyone. I had money in the bank. I had this free time. And it was just like, you stole one dream from me. You're not stealing another one. And that's where it is. Because when I held myself responsible, I wrote every day. I promoted very hard here on YouTube. And I went to work. And it paid off. All right, Rugged College, that's good to know that you're getting notifications because a lot of people aren't getting them. Brandon Tate, what chapter of Lead to Field stuck with you the most? It was about when Henry Lee, the guy that was the efficiency expert, and he went into this company and taught them how to be productive. That was gospel to me. The Nuggets, if you have kids, why not invest in kids' talents to stop being so self-focused? Honey Bunny, my mom is in her 60s still taking care of her elders because she could never change her man past the guilt of feeling like she had to bear that burden. Wow. Black Caesar, the new norm that's becoming more and more popular in American culture next is being drunk off credit, is you can get stuff done while not doing anything. What's up, Lamode? Jason Clutchy, yeah. They had to deal with that situation. My brother became her guardian, and they checked on her when she was in the home, and this completely wrecked the relationships. My mother got pissed off because I wanted to live my life. I did not, because once again, that first experience when I was that dude, it's like, okay, fine, kiss your dream, goodbye. You can't do Alabama. You're going to stay in the military. You're going to keep this BAQ coming because they need money. And I did that. And I'm not bitter because, it was a bad situation. But what really gets me was it was an expectation that I put my life on hold once again because I was walking around, everyone else had cars, stereos. All my money was heading home. And this is why I speak on this, because some of you are in that same situation right now, and no one's telling you that it's okay to be a little selfish. No one's telling you it's okay for you to do your own thing. Because, see, being responsible ain't just for you, it's for everyone. Like my business, my best friend Francine, my former business partner who passed, her family was awesome. You want to know why? Everybody was accountable. Sister, PhD. Brother-in-law, PhD. Sister-in-law, VP at a chemical company. Brother owned a lawn. No one in that family had to borrow money from anyone. They were all good because they were accountable adults. When they got together, it was this room full of successful, happy people out there trying to get their things, going out and doing stuff in life. Her brother-in-law he has patents. Morehouse Medical School, he has patents. Because everyone told, and they were West Indians, they were from St. Kitts, and everyone, and this is an immigrant story. They immigrated here from St. Kitts, and the whole family was successful because they held themselves accountable. Once again, well, Jason, this is once the thing. Remember what I was talking about with the lower economic strata? And I had someone on Facebook trying to fight me saying that 30% of people escape poverty. No, they don't. Once again, go watch The Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, and you will see perpetually poor white people generation after generation. Incarceration, drug addiction, out of wedlock births. The same pathology that plagues black people. Flash wave, West Indians stand up. Oh, Erica, I had to block this fool because, once again, people don't want to be accountable. This is why Trump is president, because white people did not want to be accountable for their lack of success. It must be the blacks. It must be the Mexicans. It must be the trans. It must be the queers. It must be all of these special need groups. Identity politics. What we need is a good white man in office to set things straight. And so far, Trump has increased the national debt, the second largest president behind Obama. And if he gets elected for a second term, he will eclipse Obama in adding to the national debt. This was one of the guy's talking points, and he did not even know that I knew that Trump was second. And he was just like, hey, I'm gonna slide this in there. I'm like, no, you ain't. Trump's second, and on his way to being the president with the most amount of national debt. And once again, people didn't want to be accountable. Folks love talking about affirmative action. I go, really? Someone less qualified got the job? Really? I had some clown on YouTube trying to say what I was doing was because of affirmative action. And I'm like, bruh, I'm self-employed. There's no affirmative action. I can't. There's no special quota like, well, Glendon's black, so you got to buy X amount of his quota. No, no, it don't work that way. It does not work that way. And one of the things that about being accountable is even if you have a suck ass job, do that job to the best of your ability. Be accountable. Show up and do that job where people talk like, man, Ed's a good worker. Mr. Big, on that point, I disagree. If it wasn't for white people, Trump wouldn't be in office. You could disagree all you want to, but if you delve into the facts, 42% of white women voted for Trump. Something like 50-something% of white men voted for Trump. It wasn't because Bernie backfired. If the guy who was the head of the FBI did not pull that Hillary thing, Hillary probably would have won. Talking about we're looking into her emails 2 weeks before the election. Hillary probably would have won. She got more votes than Trump. Why do y'all keep defending this fool? I don't understand. Erica Williams, when I worked multiple jobs, I got crystal clear what I wanted to do. And this is one of the things that happens with personal accountability. When you take personal accountability for self and your welfare, because let's go ahead and kick it to the real. When you become a business owner, you're taking personal accountability for everything in your life. Your health insurance, your diet, you're taking everything falls on you. The mode, you got to work hard and stand out from the rest. Mr. Big, true, Obama wouldn't have been in office without white people. White people loved Obama. White people don't like Trump. There's a huge difference. So once again, aside from Trump love and all these folks who are low-key trying to defend Trump, who may go down as the worst president we had in history, when you look at the facts objectively, it's interesting how people choose to see things. Because once again, opioid addiction is wrecking white men and white women ages 16 to 25. It's a huge, huge problem. And one of the things that is happening is, hold on a second. Hey, you're on your way? Yeah, I'm doing the live stream right now. I'll call you back. All right. So you got all of these folks out here who don't want to be accountable, who don't want to do the right thing. Like, once again, opioid addiction, white male suicide rate is skyrocketing. The white reproduction rate is, white people are not having enough sex and having enough children to replace themselves, which is why the number of white people is dwindling globally. And white people got really pissed off. Hence this term, make America great again. America was already great. See, this is the problem. And this goes back to accountability. Right now, America is more fair than it's ever been in its history. And that's a problem. Because with America being fair and you cannot discriminate and you can't do certain things, certain people have found themselves having to compete and struggle. And they're looking for someone to blame. They're looking for someone to hold accountable versus the man or woman in the mirror. The name is Trump is like Brexit. Poor whites' emotions were played and saw that their last chance to reclaim a past that's never coming back. Pretty much. Deaths of despair, 35 to 60. Pretty much, Super One. I agree. Sounds like Becky with the good hair. That's funny. Mr. Big, once again, a lot of people are considering the national debt not that big of a problem. An economist just came out and talked about it. But one day, someone's going to have to pay the bill, and it's going to be our children. Honey Bunny, I think responsibility is a hard pill for people to swallow because it requires you to accept your mistakes and flaws and actually be more vulnerable than average Joe. Fire. They used to be the black men taking jobs, now it's supposedly immigrants. Eric Kidd, Jamal Austin, white folks getting called out. I mean, that's why we're dealing with Trump. This is why they picked this clown. Because of the lack of, because see, here's what's happened. Men, white men, black men, well, actually mostly white men, their testosterone level isn't high as it was in men 30 years ago due to environmental concerns and other things. So we got this situation where we have a group of people who are emotionally, hormonally weaker than their predecessors. And they don't understand why. And they're listening to these slick politicians saying, well, the reason is it's them. Trump has a lot of white nationalists supporting him, and he knows this, and he will not criticize them because that would wreck his base. Well, once again, the taxes you can't get back. Everyone pays Social Security, Medicare taxes. Essentially, there's 157 million people in the workforce supporting literally 190 million people. These are children, these are older people, these are people who are disabled, these are the people who are on Social Security. And this is why these gig jobs are bad for America. Because these people are literally, because we got 53 million people out of the 157 million, almost a third in low income jobs. And then we get up to 75 million of those people, they make less than $33,000 a year. And when we move up to 70,000, 80% of those people don't make $70,000 a year. And, you know, once again, it's a lack of accountability because I understand you don't know what you don't know. You don't understand. You don't know what you don't know. And many people, and that is cool if you are a kid. You 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. But once you get to be of age, you should be seeking solutions. You should be looking for solutions. You should be looking for education. Quentin Jackson, only 42% of white women voted for him. So that meant like 58% didn't. Trump, Eric Kidd, Trump was the great white hope. I say that all the time when I'm fighting with folks on Facebook because this is the first thing that they will say, not being accountable. Well, I'm not a fan of Trump, then they would low-key defend him. It's the strangest thing. Honey Bunny, they are ride or die. And once again, when you as a person start to accept responsibility, I remember I was doing a live stream years ago and I actually said I was wrong and I made a mistake. And some women flipped out. They said, man, that said he was wrong? I didn't know that this was a thing. Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. I hold myself to personal responsibility. When I wrote my first book, I got jacked on the editing, and I had to put that book out not once, not twice, but 3 times. And then the people who bought the badly edited version, I gave them a copy of the updated version for free. So I had to deal with that. People were leaving like jacked up comments and stuff. And I remember like one dude was like, this information's gold. I don't know why y'all dropping my job doing storage auctions from his book. Well, the reason is that very few people want to say they were wrong. Very few people want to say that they can't do something because of silly little fears like looking bad, uh, people thinking, like, once again, people are very accepting when you're honest. Jason Clutchy, I agree, because the template has been set. Companies know that they can have a hotel company and not own property. Companies know that they can have a taxi company and not actually have any cars. The gig economy is just getting started. Like you can rent your car on Turo. There's so many ways to get in the gig economy, and if you're really slick, if you've got yourself an extra car and you rent it out on Turo, you can make yourself an extra $800 to maybe $3,000 per month. The key is like, once again, it's not people like Teslas and stuff and these specialty cars. Get yourself a good car that you can rent for 25 to 35 bucks a day. That sucker will stay out on the road. So you got car, $35 a day times 30. It's $1,050. There's a lot of people who don't care what they rent, as long as they get to point A to point B. Let's see. Hi, Barbara. This impeachment's just propelling white people to elect him again in 2020. No offense to other races here. Once again, here's the thing. Remember when Bill Clinton got impeached? Because he lied about getting a blowjob from Monica Lewinsky? He lied. And just like most people didn't care that Bill was getting blowed at lunchtime by Monica, most people don't care that Trump actually tried to bribe a foreign. They're like, we don't care. We really don't care. That's why the result's going to be the same. The GOP are not going to do anything to him. They're going to have a sham of a trial, just like the thing that happened with the last Supreme Court nominee, Kavanaugh. They're going to do that same thing because they were talking about they weren't doing proper investigations. They were not talking to people. They're going to do the same thing. Honey Bum, it's like seeing a woman in a bad relationship. Yeah, he's bad for me. I'm going to prison, but I love him. Those gig jobs aren't sustainable long term. I can't see many 6-year-olds delivering Amazon packages and Uber Eats. You will see that in the future. Mr. Big, we agree. Personal responsibility is the only way to build success that isn't a house of cards. It's the cornerstone of true success. Like I was talking about my last stream, like I'm building out B School for Hustlers, and I know it's going to be very successful, but between me and that success is a lot of work. Is a whole lot of work. It's a ton of work. And this is what separates people who are or who are successful is they will work. They will work. And as Mr. Big just said, personal responsibility is the only way to build success that isn't a house of cards. If you look at everything and you operate from that philosophy of personal responsibility, that will definitely happen to Trump if he's put on the stand. But McConnell's already said he's not going to have a real trial. Kai Green, I saw a post the other day. This lady wants to buy a new house, but her income is only 20,000 a year. That's a gig economy lifestyle. She's better finding a mobile home and buying it cash. Man, here's another area where people don't take personal responsibility. And I see it all over the internet. I see people who want to get into real estate. Low income, bad credit, and this is why wholesaling is gotten to the point that certain states are putting regulation in that you cannot wholesale real estate unless you have a real estate license to cut the number of people who just jumping in on this. Because there's been a lot of people lied to. There's been people who's been shammed. So here they are. Know they got bad credit. They don't have no money, and they're looking for ways to get into a highly lucrative business with no skin in the game. And wholesaling for a while was that way. And what's going to happen is it's going to be abused to the point where you're going to get more regulation. Because once again, it's dependent upon it. So once again, so once again, this is the lack of personal responsibility, and this is the cornerstone of the money management course. Because once again, people refuse to do the right thing. And to go back to what Mr. Big said, if you want to have a financially stress-free life, you must manage your money correctly. No ifs and doubts about it. This is why lottery winners, and here's the thing, you buy a ticket and you win 5, 10, $20 million, right? And it doesn't even occur to you to go out and get a financial planner. It doesn't even dawn on you. And I understand that people don't know what they don't know. But here's one of the reasons that people get in trouble after winning the lottery. No account, no sensibility of what's what. $5 million cash is a lot of money, but it's not an infinite supply of money. So you will get Pookie. Let's say Pookie wins the lottery. And Pookie has bad financial habits. Pookie has bad credit. Pookie don't even have a bank account. Pookie wins the lottery, and they have to create a special account for Pookie because he doesn't have a bank account to put his lottery money into. Pookie has 3 baby mamas. Pookie's in arrears, so immediately the state takes a significant chunk of their money. They take what Pookie owes and they take additional money to make sure Pookie never gets left behind. So he loses a grip of money right there. Then Pookie quits his job. Then Pookie goes out and gets a big house. Then Pookie goes out and gets a flashy car. Then Pookie start living his best life. And literally within 3 to 4 years, Pookie is broke. Hence the reason they took the additional money so he wouldn't be behind on his child support again. This is the pattern because people have no concept of what money is. Honey Bunny, more than likely Pookie will get 2 more baby mamas in the process. Pookie is in a situation where Pookie doesn't understand money. I was here in Georgia once the Georgia lottery came out, and I didn't vote for the lottery, but most people wanted it. And one of the first winners of the lottery was a guy in Alabama. You know what he said he was going to do? He won $13 million. He said he was going to get him a double wide and a brand new pickup truck. They clowned him for days. If this was, this was before social media, or it would have been 1,000 times worse. This man did not understand with $13 million, he can go out and buy a normal house. He didn't understand that. His dream was a double wide in the brand new pickup truck. That was his dream. That's where he wanted to be. That's what he wanted. And one of the things, that is a big problem of the lower economic classes is a lack of personal responsibility. And you could scream it, you could talk about it, and people say, you're being mean. So what if Shanika has 5 children by 5 different dudes? Help her out. Somebody got to pay for those children. Forget the fact that Shanika, after the first one, I'll give you the first one, anyone can make a mistake, should have closed her legs or got herself fixed. But once again, we don't want to talk about this. And let's talk about fat shaming. Personal responsibility. There is this one model, her name's Tess. She's 5'2" and about 400 pounds. And they keep pushing this. She is unhealthy. At 5'2" and 400 pounds, she is unhealthy. Let me go ahead and look her up real quick. Tess, the overweight model. Dang, her name is Holiday, Tess Holiday. She's actually 5'5". Ryan Megan Hoven, known professionally as Tess Holiday and formerly known as Tess Monster, is an American model, blogger, and makeup artist based in Los Angeles. Let's see, how much does Tess weigh? Oh man, that's already in here. Folks be looking for this. She's 304 pounds at 5'5". She's lost a little weight. And this is celebrated. Being that fat, that's what it is. She's fat. She's not big boned. She doesn't have a glandular condition. She's fat. She outweighs me by 60 pounds, and I'm 6'1". We get away because once again, we're getting away from personal responsibility. Jason tests me eating like a holiday every day. One of the things that we seem to get into personal responsibility, transgender. There ain't no way in hell that these guys who want to be women should be competing with women as long as they still have their testicles and penis. They already have a genetic advantage. And this is why these male to female transgenders are killing normal women. There's a boxer who's transgender but who fights men because she is still biologically a man, and she said she's not going to take the hormones because they would affect her ability to fight. So she's going to keep fighting men because that's only fair. That transgender has taken personal responsibility while these other ones are just getting over. They getting over and they know they getting over. Just getting her fighting weight up. Lizzo was twerking at the Staples Center. They banned her. This is one of the things that I have noticed in the dating sphere. That chicks who are a 2.5 ton have no problem because they've accepted themselves, which is a beautiful thing. But they get mad when you don't accept them. They always call those chicks thick like a tire, more thick like a snowman. Tessa is obese and weird American fetish watching her. Mr. Big, I take it you saw the women's MMA fight with the trans fighter that was brutal to watch. The trans woman trashed the biological woman. It's unfair. Most of these transgenders still have testicles and penises, which means that they have testosterone. That's right, Erica. 98% of all trans never change their sex organs. Quinn Jackson, I saw that article. I'm like, you don't have lady parts. Lee 982523. Hey, Glenn, I'm 23-year-old man. What do you want to do with your life? Tell me that in the comments. The Nomus, they have weightlifting contests that are tested, and they have weightlifting contests that are not tested. So, once again, it's a lack of personal responsibility because if for some reason there was something, because here's something else with trans. And I really believe somewhere deep down inside, I don't fully understand it because I'm not a person going through that process, that they're really women because they have the liability of logic. Many of these men to women transgenders cannot understand why biologically heterosexual men want nothing to do with the majority of them. They can't understand it. I'm a woman. I'm cute. Why doesn't he want to take me out on a date? Because you have a penis! You have a penis! And I remember when they were talking about it, and everyone's all like hung up on the penis. It's not about the penis, it's about her womanhood. Most dudes get with women because they want to have sex with them. That's the biological driving force. So if you have a penis, back up. Doop, 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 doop. Lizzo is just chubby. First time I heard of Lizzo is I saw her twerking. Honey Bunny, this is one of the things because there are a lot of doctors that will make sure that you go through a psychological profile before you have certain things done. Lizzo's 5'11". Good Lord. Flash Wave 2020, I had to re examine my entire life when I saw the low quality of women swiping right on me on Tinder. Daddy Buck, being overweight leads to health problems in the shorter life? Absolutely. Good Lord, Erica. I'm debating the Masters. Okay, Lee. So what I'm gonna do, and it ain't up yet, because I need to work on the Hustlers Kung Fu stuff. But there's a digital education course, and I urge you to get the money management course. Hopefully, you don't have student loans. Erica, I'm 6'4", 240, and I'm fat. Practice. Warren, kiss my ass. Um, Kia, I know. Good Lord. Miss Big, I knew a trans that felt the same way about dating. I said the same thing. I said, girl, you got a penis in a hetero relationship. A man wants a vagina. You can't look like the hottest woman alive. But once again, that's just the problem. So, and this is an American problem because right now we have people who don't want to be accountable for their shortcomings and blind spots and deficiencies. And when you start taking personal accountability of your life, things get better. When I was in a boarding house and I was sitting back and I was, because, in the beginning, I had a lot of time to think because I really wasn't working that much. I was just hanging around the boarding house. And I was like, how did I end up here? And when I figured it out, because one day I was at the bus stop and I was like, you never saved any money. I had the bad practice of working, making money, supporting the family, but I never saved any money. Me saving money did not start until I got the job at business environments. Even at Rent a Crate, I was still blowing most of my money, even at panel systems. But when I got to business environments and I got that JDA deal, money came in faster than I can spend it, and money started to stack. And this is one of the things, even if you're a person that doesn't save money, once you get a certain amount, you don't want to mess with it. You just want to keep adding to it to grow because it's fun to see it grow. And I looked in my bank account and I had like $90,000. And all my bills were paid. I paid off a car. I felt rich. I felt like a baller. I was like, who is this dude? And then my goal became like, well, I got 80. I want to see if I can get 150. So once I got that big chunk in the bank, that was my first savings. It was my first money aside that wasn't blowing fast like Big Meech. All right, so money management course and what course? I don't have any debt, but I was in a position to pay for school. So, all right. kudos to you. I do have a little money saved up, but rather invest in a business to make more. Once again, if you don't really know what you want to do, my suggestion would be to you to start a service business. And I'm going to create a course very soon, and that's going to be part of B School for Hustlers. So look out for that. Brazil Warren, you know what the fuck I said. Stop acting like you ignorant. And don't talk to me like that in the comments. Like, learn how to say, I'm not no child. Fuck you. All right. That's wild, Quinn. All right, C2 Lives. Honey Bunny, you know what I like about talk taking personal responsibility? No one can hold me to a standard higher than the one I can hold for myself. It takes the power away from the other party. Absolutely. Just don't invest in Bitcoin. One of the things is with personal responsibility is you will gain a greater clarity and understanding of self. And also your relationships with people will be much better because you know yourself. You have a high degree of self-awareness. So one of the things is like, I have a speech impediment, Warren, with your sloppy ass. And you didn't know that, but once again, let's talk about this because I used to always mispronounce words and people would correct me. And then when I would tell them I had a speech impediment, that I spent first grade to the sixth grade in the trail of flipping flashcards, they would feel bad. So there's a reason that I say the things that I say, Warren. But once again, you didn't know that. And this is the thing. And there's a scientific study that says that people go around correcting people are usually assholes. That was scientifically studied. Lee, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you. Be real, I saw that about the guy who robbed people at Crypto Crew. That's the truth and a half. Take a personal responsibility to help you know yourself because you aren't just being honest with others, you're being honest with yourself. And this is when I came into that situation at boarding house when I was like, the reason that I'm here is I didn't save any money. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, all of these excuses I made not to save money, and and it was just like, man, this is why I'm here. I did not put any money away. I didn't save any money. Most irresponsible people are lying to themselves. Absolutely. So one of the things I want you guys to understand that is the importance of personal responsibility. Because if you're going to be a entrepreneur, it's going to be very important that you get to know yourself and become very self-aware of where you're strong and where you're weak. Because if you start a business that aligns with your strength, it's the chances of it being successful are so much greater than you align yourself with a business that challenges your deficiencies. Because this is one of the things I'm going to do in the course because I get people who's like, hey, Glendon, I'm here in life and I want to start a business. What should I start? And honestly, my answer is I don't know. I don't know you. You would be better off asking that question of someone who's known you for a few years, who knows where you're strong, where you're weak, because this is the number one reason that most businesses fail. You get someone who chooses a business because it looks good to them, not because it appeals to anything in them. It doesn't appeal to a strength or They just like, hey, that looks good to me. I'm gonna do it. And they get into it, and they find out 6 months down the road it ain't what they thought it was, but they're already making money and they already trapped. All right, Lee, don't mess with the student loans. Because one of the things like we do to children, and it's really a disgusting thing. We tell them to go to college and take out mortgage level debt before they get their first job. And this debt has crippled many people. They can't get married, they can't have kids, they can't buy a house because they went out and got mortgage level debt for a degree, which they did well, and they got the loans and they did all this other stuff. And the job they're doing doesn't pay that much, which is another reason because I'm getting ready to put some more information on the personal finance channel because I kind of took a break because I wanted to rethink the strategy. And one of the things is that many people don't understand, like if you're part of the 75 million people in America that make $33,000 or less, you don't really make enough money to have significant investments. And no one is saying this in the personal finance space. It's like, hey, you get $1,000 because you'll see this video. Hey, best place to invest $1,000. With little regard to investing should be a long-term strategy. You would be better off investing $200 a month into this fund for 10 years than just throwing $1,000 in there one time. And no one's saying that. So one of the things that I want people to understand is how things are shaping up, how things are coming down the pike, how things are good. You know, once you become really honest with yourself, you're going to get a greater understanding of human behavior. Because I went through that process in a boarding house and I had to be very honest with myself. And it made me the person I am today. And this is why the Craigslist protocols work so well, because I was able to see and understand why people were doing certain things. So it is a big, big issue. Because I want you guys to be successful. I want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to get the big Betty booty of your dreams. I want you to marry that girl and have 2 and 3 kids and enjoy life and grow old and be comfortable. And you're not going to get there lying to yourself and not taking personal responsibility or always blaming someone else for your problems. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So one of the things I want you to understand is to go through this process of personal accountability and a higher degree of self-awareness. Because once you get to a higher level of self-awareness, that's money. Because there's so many people. You want to know why pimps are so successful? Pimps are organic psychologists. They read human behavior very well. They know who they can take. They know who they can show a little bit of love to and get this girl on a host roll. Pimps are psychologists. Predators are psychologists. Pimping ain't easy. So that's all I got for you guys tonight. I will see you guys later. Be sure to check out what's going on with B School for Hustlers. It's going to take me a few months to build it out, but it's going to be an awesome product that's going to help you make money. So with that, I'll check you guys out later.